Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of TC Talk, back today with another video. And in today's video, I'm going to be doing a gameplay kind of playback review for you with my new Katsu list that I've been working on just for fun. What I've been doing is Talishar, the people over there are insane, and I've already coded in some of the new cards. So I have a list that has cards like Be Like Water, Dishonor, and Bonds of Ancestry in it. And I've just been playing around with the list, just having fun with it. And there was actually a turn in this game that kind of shows you what Breeze Harder Boots can do with the new cards itself. And I'll kind of show that. And then also just kind of review it, gameplay. I know y'all been wanting to see more gameplay, so I'm gonna watch this. This is one with my buddy Mortimer. Morty is a friend of mine. He was on the channel earlier with the Dorinthia deck tech that won a Pro Quest. He won his Pro Quest with Dorinthia, so really skilled player, really good. He's playing a fatigue Arakni list, so like a really fatigue Arakni list, and I know his list, he knows my list, so like there's no like crazy like surprises, and we were just playing for fun. So if you see a misplay or see something that we could have done better, sure, you can comment down below, but we weren't playing for a calling, we were literally playing just for fun on Talishar, so keep that in mind as you watch this. But regardless, with Arakni, especially his version of Arakni, which I know is fatigue based, I'm looking at Mask of Momentum versus Mask of Pouncing Links is kind of my first decision point when it comes to the sideboard in general. I definitely put in my 3 Command and Conquers. The sideboard in this list is a little bit different. I have it basically, I'm deciding between, I put in all 3 of my Command and Conquers that you see at the bottom, my 2 Razor Reflexes, and my 3 Sigils. That's what's in the sideboard for this list. Everything else is in the main board. And kind of going from there. In this list specifically, we have 2 Pounding Gales, 2 Torrent Tempos. We have 3 of the Bonds of Ancestry. We have 3 Be Like Waters, 3 of the Dishonors. But we also have 3 Flick Flacks in the list. So it's a little bit more defensive. Wouldn't say control based, but it is definitely more mid-range. And our basic decision point is like, do we run Mask of Pouncing Links or do we run Mask of Momentum? I like to run Mask of Momentum if I know the Arakni is actually like a really, really fatigue Arakni, because I can just go really wide and make his D-reacts be really inefficient. So that's what I chose to do with Mask of Momentum. Plus, in this list, the only links targets I really have are Salt and Dishonor. So he starts off by doing the typical dagger. I go ahead and use my 2 block that isn't going to be as good anyway to prevent the dagger on hit. One thing you can do if you don't have a great hand with Katsu or with any hero in general when playing Arakni is if they dagger, the first dagger is going to make your next attack action card you defend with get -1 block. If you're playing Katsu and you have a 2 block attack in your hand that is going to kind of be useless, like that Surging Strike was, you can block it with the second dagger. On the second dagger, it'll get -1, but it'll still block out the dagger. And then you then can block a more impactful attack without getting the -1 value on the next attack. But they just dagger, and passed. This first hand, we had a Soul Bead Strike, 2 Soul Bead Strikes, Torrent Tempo, and Fluster. So it's a really dead hand. Like, we're going to attack with Soul Bead. They can easily block it out. Arakni is very highly efficient blocking hero. He has both of his equipment block up and his Ironhide Gauntlets. So we kind of want to like maybe try to force a mass trigger here. So pitching for Gadachis with the Soul Bead Strike first allows them to get go again. That way we can also pinch our Torrent Tempo and it still has go again. So now we're presenting 6 damage and we are threatening a mass draw. So we're going to force our opponent to interact with us a little bit more. So we dealt 2 damage basically. And now we're threatening 4, and hopefully we can get one of his equipment block early, and then Arsenal the Fluster Fist, which is exactly what we did here. This was a 17-minute game. This was not a fast game. This was very, very slow. The first time that we played, I beat him, and I basically decked him out. He had like 2 cards in deck, and he played a lot more defensive. In this game, he plays a little bit more fast. So we have the Fluster in the Arsenal, and we have Whelming, Leg Tap, her 100 Winds, and McGinty. So I don't even remember how I blocked here, but as you can see in our hand, our best case scenario is we pitch McGinty for Leg Tap for 4. It hits, go get Rising for discarding the Whelming for 5, and then playing 100 Winds to threaten Mask, right? And then if they block one of those, then you play out Fluster. So you're doing a 4 damage, 5 damage, 3 damage, that's 12, and then Fluster makes it 16, which is pretty good. If they block it out, then you still can play 100 Winds and the Fluster, and then Arsenal the Whelming. So no matter what, we have a pretty good offensive turn here, so we're probably not going to block unless they do a really like impactful attack that really disrupts our hand, like a Surgical or a Leave No Witness. Like if he hits me with a Plunder the Poor here or something that's not whatever, then it doesn't matter. So on that last turn, I noticed that he pitched a blue, and then he pitched a red Plunder the Poor. Now, he could have attacked with that Plunder the Poor, but what that tells me is he probably has something like an Oasis or an Unmovable in his hand, because he maybe is worried that if he keeps the Plunder and Poor in hand, that he's going to not be able to pitch properly or like block effectively with those kind of cards or defense reactions. I'm really surprised he didn't play the Plunder of the Poor, but at the end of the day, it was a choice. I don't know exactly what's in his hand here. So I have a full hand here. So again, the best line, you have 2 options here. You can either play 100 Winds first to try to bait out a block, because Arakni does like to block pretty early in the chain most of the time, then play the leg tap. And if they block the leg tap too, then you play Flusterfist and Arsenal Whelming, or you can play leg tap first. Since he does have 1 equipment block up with Black Tech anyway, I decided to play the leg tap first to like force out that Black Tech Whisper like right off the bat, which I ended up doing, which was fine. And then we're just going to play out 100 Winds and the Fluster, which is another 7 damage, and be able to Arsenal our Whelming. So we force out the second piece of equipment that they have, and we're going to still threaten 7 damage. And all while this is happening, like, we're also fatiguing them just like they're fatiguing us. If he wants to keep blocking me and, you know, getting rid of 3 cards in hand while I'm getting rid of a little bit less because of Kadachi's over time, I can outvalue him over time. So he lets this hit. I think. Oh no, he uses Fate. So he had a Fate and Arsenal when he pitched that Plunder the Poor, which tells me whatever's in his hand is probably like an Oasis or an Unmovable. He pitches away the Fleece the Frail, so we got to pay attention to his pitch here to see if he arsenals this card. We end up just taking the dagger here. And he Tunics, and he Inspire Bites again, which again is telling me now, okay, the worst he has in his hand is a Leave No Witness. Is probably the Leave No Witnesses is the worst card he could possibly have, which he ends up having. So the turn prior, now I know that he was pitching away that Plunder because he was going to try to find a reaction for Leave No Witnesses. When he didn't have it, we just used the Breeze Rider Boots and Breaking Skills. I didn't want him to get rid of the Whelming right off the bat, and I didn't want him to get tempo by getting rid of my Arsenal. And that Flick Flack was kind of dead in my hand anyway. I could use it for discard, but that's about it. But what we're going to do here, right, is we're going to threaten Mask with Head Jab and then use Tunic to punish him by playing Command and Conquer for pretty good damage. So he also has no equipment block at this point. So now I know, like, in the next few turns, as quickly as possible, I need to push damage. I need to push tempo because he can't use his equipment effectively to block me out. So I need to push as much tempo as possible. So now he used 1 card from hand. He can't really use equipment, so he'd have to use 2 more cards to block this Command Conquer out. So it's a good free damage, good 6 damage. He plays a Sun Kiss, which heals, and then goes right back to it. So this is a really awkward hand. Honestly, with this hand, like, you have a couple options. You could Fluster Fist, and then maybe it hits, and you could pop Breeze, but it's a little bit too early to pop Breeze. Life is still 36, 35, so that's kind of out of the question. You could Kadachi with Ancestral, and then play Command Conquer for 6, but then you get rid of Ancestral, which is a really good card. It's like, it sucks to say it, but like, the best thing to do is pitch a Fluster Fist and Ancestral, threaten his Arsenal, attack for 6, and then keep 1 Ancestral in hand for your next turn to maybe try to do something with Whelming Gust Wave. And this is going to force a minimum 2-card block out of him, which is really nice, which it ended up doing. And it forced out his Ironhide Gauntlet, which is really big, which tells me he's really valuing that Arsenal. And then he ends up doing the value play, right? typical value plays. So here, again, we have, like I said in the value video that's coming out at the time that you watch this, it may not, actually it will have came out. So the value video that came out yesterday, talking about like the value of your hand, right? And so Ancestral Empowerment is technically like an even value card, but it's really important for us for our big OY turns. Leg Tap is a +2 offensive value card. Torn Tempo is a +1 offensive value card, and Surging Strike is technically a +1 value offensive card. However, in this case, like Surging Strike is gonna be pretty much unplayable. Our best value card right now is technically Torn Tempo because it attacks for the most on the next turn, but it does block for 3. So here we can either block with Ancestral and Torn Tempo and then play Leg Tap, but we pitch away a Surging, which sucks because we do see that Whelming in Arsenal. I actually don't remember what I did here. It's going to be really surprising to see what I did here. Thinking about it now, I would probably... Okay, yeah, I'm just going to take it because I'm going to... Yeah, so I'm going to kind of go a little bit more down in life here to threaten... more damage. Because he... because since he doesn't have his equipment block... I was forcing him to like have a 2-card block there. He ends up having a sink and a That All You Got, which really sucks. I still draw off of this, but it's kind of a waste of a Ancestral. I'm still gonna get an Arsenal, and he only has 1 card in hand, but overall not too bad. Although I don't end up arsenaling this Flick Flag. So this was a mistake on my part, and I thought about it the next turn. I should have arsenaled that Flick Flag just to have it. It's really nice to have on a dagger, and then you are able to make your next card block for 5. I don't know why I pitched it away. I truly don't. So he ends up with Plunder the Poor for 4. Here, I have a decent hand. I have Be Like Water and 100 wins, so I can attack for at least 9 damage, if not more, and threaten Mask. So him hitting me for 4 more isn't too bad, but I am down in 10 life right now, and if I end up like not getting tempo quickly, I'm gonna end up losing. I'm not in a good spot. So he blocks out the Be Like Water. Attacks for 100 wins for 3, and then here I have a decision. I either can attack with Rise and Knee Thrust and Arsenal the McGinty, or attack with McGinty off Tunic and then Arsenal Rise and Knee Thrust. Rise and Knee Thrust is a little bit better of an Arsenal target to me. McGinty can get stuck if you don't have the right combo, which kind of sucks. Also, Talishar lets you order your triggers now, which is so nice. I'm basically telling him like it's cool how they let you order your triggers now. So I could Katsu ability here and go for another 100 wins also, and then attack with McGinty for 4, threatening Mass Draw. So it's just a little bit more damage. Now I can deal an additional 7 damage, or 8 damage actually, which is really nice. I end up doing that. Attack with 100 wins for 4 more, only having him having 3 cards in hand. And then I Tunic Resource, attacking with McGinty for another 4. So I could deal additional 8 damage there and still get an Arsenal, which is really nice. And it's a Fluster Fist, which is like one of the better arsenals I can get for value. So now I got him back down to 23. Now we're equal in life. I was down 10 life and him holding a little bit, which tells me he probably has a decent hand here if he is holding. And he does the Command and Conquer. He can't pummel it. So basically, in this situation, I took it pretty quickly. We can kind of look over this and see like what the value is. So he attacks with Spider Bite for 1, which I don't block. And then he comes in with Command and Conquer. So now all these attacks in my hand are going to come in for -1. So Leg Tap and Head Jab are only going to block for 1. Dishonor and Lord of Wind only going to block for 2. So in order for me to block out this Command and Conquer, I literally would have to block with all 4 cards, because my 2 blues are going to block for 4 and my 2 reds are going to block for make a combined 6 block, which just isn't worth it. So at this point, you just eat the Fluster Fist away and you still have a decent turn next turn going for it. So here we can lead with Leg Tap, or we can lead with Kadachi, and then Leg Tap. There's 2 trains of thoughts here. You try to get them to block the Kadachi on the second attack, or you try to get them to block early in the chain so then you can push damage later in the chain. Knowing how many defensive reaction he has, I'm just going to block out, or I'm going to do leg tap first, because if I Kadachi, if he has a lot of defense reactions in his hand, he's not going to block that Kadachi. He doesn't need to, because he's just going to use his good defense reactions to block out your attacks. He's not going to waste a 4-power defense reaction on a Kadachi or a 3-power block on a Kadachi. He's just going to wait for the leg tap or wait for whatever attack I decide to hit with. So I leave with leg tap to try to force out equipment block or force out cards from hand, either 1 defense reaction or 2 cards. And seeing as he didn't block here, it allowed me to go get Rising and then into head jab. And then the good thing about this line is if he blocks Rising, which he did, we can still Kadachi, and then head jab and threaten mask again, which is really nice. If he doesn't block the Rising there, then we just play head jab and we force out a equipment block, or force out a block from hand to prevent mask. So we're going to Kadachi, head jab here, forcing another mask draw. If he wants to block this out, he ends up not blocking it out, which gives us an arsenal, which is Bonds of Ancestry, which is going to end up being really important for us, as you'll see here in a moment. It's not this hand, but next hand. So he attacks with Findell's Fighting Spirit. Again, what's our best line here, right? We have a yellow pitch in hand, but it is not a 0 cost, so we cannot Kadachi here. So basically, whatever we have in hand is what we have in hand. We have no natural go again. So our best attacking card is either Pounding Gale or Torrent of Tempo. So we either basically choose to block with Pounding Gale and Torrent of Tempo and attack with Fluster Fist for 4, leaving 1 card in the hand, which is dead, which kind of sucks. Or we block with Torrent of Tempo or Pounding Gale and Fluster Fist, or Pounding Gale or Torrent Tempo and Fluster Fist, and then attack with Pounding Gale or Torrent Tempo for 5. So the best damage line here, no matter what, is technically 5. Now we could try to see if he'll let Torrent Tempo hit, which is what I'm going to do. He doesn't know it's in my arsenal. So if I attack with Torrent Tempo on chain 1 for 5, threatening go again, he might be a little hesitant, thinking that I can, do something else. It's kind of a shitty situation no matter what, though, for a hand. So I'm doing Torrent Tempo for 5, forcing a 2-card block from him. He hasn't gotten a lot of silver, so he hasn't been able to recur his equipment very well. He plays another Sigil and then plays Plunder of the Poor. And we basically have to take this. So we look in our hand and we see that we have 2 Whelmings and a Be Like Water, which we can turn into Surging. So we're basically able to string together a Surging line here with Be Like Water if we can get Be Like Water to hit. Even if we can't get Be Like Water to hit, maybe we can get one of the Whelmings to hit, pop Breeze Rider Boots, and then do our line, which is exactly what we're going to do here. So we take the Plunder of the Poor, let him go up 6 life, and then we play this. So we Kadachi first. I'm trying to force out a card block before I play Be Like Water. I would really love him to block a Kadachi first, so that way I'm really punishing him if he wants to block out Be Like Water too. He ends up not doing it, so I pretty much know he's going to block out this Be Like Water no matter what, which really sucks. So he blocks it out, which also prevents mask. With that, all you got. And so here is the crux of what happens. So he prevents mask here, and I attack with Whelming Gustwave for 3. So currently in his hand, if I remember what he told me right, and Morty, if you watch this, correct me if I'm wrong, he has a Sigil and 2 Oasis Respites. I don't remember what's in his arsenal. So basically, he can block this out, which he does block. Okay, so that's what it is. He has a Command and Conquer in hand. Then he has, now the last 3 cards he has up there, I don't know which his arsenal is. He has a Sigil and 2 Oasis Respites. So for me, I'm thinking if I can get this Whelming to hit, which I immediately breaking scale, then I'm able to play Bonds or discard the Whelming, go get a better Whelming, like red Whelming, or go get McGinty Release because I have 1 resource flowing, which is what I do. And then I'm able to string together both lines back and forth. So I breaking scales here, basically saying, like, if you don't have a defense reaction, then I'm basically making him have a defense reaction, and he has a lot. So this is definitely a risky play, and this isn't 100% like a foolproof play. This is just a play of like, hey, do you got it or you don't, right? Probably shouldn't have blocked exact, but given he has a sigil and Oasis in hand, he could Oasis here. And if he Oasis here, then he has no cards in hand, and I have full tempo next turn. Now, he probably should have done that, hindsight 2020, but it's really hard for him because if his last two cards really are Sigil and Oasis, then he's just going to pitch the Sigil to play Oasis, have no cards left in hand, and then I'm going to get tempo. So it's kind of a lose-lose situation. At the end of the day, the super safe play is for him to Oasis this, right? And then nothing happens, but he didn't. And so I am able to get Whelming Gustwave to hit, pop Breeze Rider Boots. I discard the blue Whelming Gustwave for Maginshi Release because I do have one resource floating. And now, because now I know that I can play Bonds of Ancestry for free for 4 go again. Then go get a Whelming Gustwave with Bonds' ability. Because I banished a Whelming Gustwave from my graveyard to go get a Whelming Gustwave for my deck. Play Bonds of Ancestry, play Whelming Gustwave for 3. And then play him against your release for 5. So I'm able, because of Breeze Rider Boots, I'm able to weave the lines together. And your original thought process is, well, Snap does the same thing. Well, Snap doesn't do the same thing. Because in this situation, so if let's say we have Snapdragon Scalers here, I can snap this, right? Discard, go get Maginshi. I can play Bonds. Bonds has go again from Whelming, but then if I play another Whelming, right, then the Whelming no longer has go again because it's not linked with Bonds. So basically, because if I had Snapdragon Scalers here, I would probably discard this and go get a Dishonor, so it comes in for 4, right? But it still doesn't have go again. But what Breeze Rider Boots allowed me to do was play a line that I normally couldn't play with Snapdragon Scalers, which was Bonds and the Whelming into Maginshi. So I play Bonds here for 4. It hits, play Whelming, and since he only has Oasis, he ends up blocking my Mass Draw. He lets Bonds hit for 4 because again he has Oasis and Sigil in hand. Then he blocks out the Whelming with his Sigil. And then I have Maginshi Release, which is going to hit because he literally can't block it out. And then I'm able to Tunic Resource and pay for all 4 of my targets, and my Lord of Wind comes in for 6, which puts him down to 1. So again there, he could have Oasis Respited to be safe on that first Whelming and make sure nothing hit, but then he has no cards left in hand. And he basically gives me all the tempo, which again, given the life totals and where we were at the start of that turn, right? He was up basically what, 6 life? So he let the 2 hit. He blocked Be Like Water. He's up 4 life right now, and I would have had complete tempo, only down 4 life, and I could have possibly came back. So either way, it's kind of a lose-lose. But this shows you what happens if your opponent doesn't have the most opportune blocks or just honestly straight up gets greedy. So from this point, it's 1 life to 12. All I got to do now is just kind of keep presenting on-rate damage. He does it for 3. I force him to have the defense reaction here. And then I do this. So basically, I'm just trying to outvalue him. He still can block me out pretty well, so I basically have to force him to have something else. I block with Mass on this 2 power shack to Shifty. He hits Cut the Chase to banish another card from my deck. And then from here, I just keep trying to outvalue him. He's basically making me have the Razor. And then Pounding Gale for 6, and then I Razor here. And end up beating him there. So, as you can see, threatened 25 damage, dealt 53 damage over the course of the game. My value per turn was 11.5, which is pretty good. Go back to it really fast, which is pretty good, not too bad. I've basically been averaging 11 to 13 value per turn. Average resources used was 2. Average damage dealt per turn was 4. Average damage threatened per turn was 10. And kind of going from there. So overall, not too bad. It is Arakni, but it was just the game we played, and I asked him if I could record it just for fun to kind of show you that interaction. The whole point of this video is to kind of give you an idea of what that Bond's turn looked like and how Breeze Rider Boots can allow you to weave in between the lines. Really fun. So yeah, hopefully y'all like this. If you did, leave a like, comment, subscribe. If not me, go to another Fleshbug Courier, leave a like, comment, subscribe on their stuff so we can get more people seeing this game. Join Discord down below if you want to. If you want to support the channel, join the Patreon. There's a couple cool benefits for that, but really it's just to support the channel if you so choose. And yeah, hopefully y'all have a good rest of your week and enjoy spoiler season. And I'll see y'all next time on TC Talk. Thank y'all so much.